evening, whatever time you're watching this broadcast. I'm extremely glad that you decided to join me today. It's time now for our 9 for 9 with me, Pastor Carzadean. Won't you come on in? Let's get some words of wisdom, praises in, prayers, and worship. Come on in. Let's get started. Hello there. How are you? Praying that all is well with you, things are going good, and you're ready to start a new day. Many of you have already started your day, but let's get started with this morning. Let's talk about this thing this morning on our 9 for 9. Focus on progress, not perfection. So let us focus on progress, not perfection. We're going to talk about that this morning. Progress versus perfection, in a sense. When you start something, you shouldn't be at the same place when you finish. So let's think about that. Progress, perfection. Perfection is the ending, is the end all be all. Progress. When we think about progress, we think about moving forward, moving towards a specific destination, perhaps. We think about moving forward or onward in space or time. Excuse me. So we talk about progress versus perfection this morning. Focus on the progress. Focus on what has already been done. Focus on what you've already accomplished. Focus on the things that are already been you've already put in place. Take a moment, slow it down. Focus on the progress, not perfection. You know, when we start something or we start a project, we get involved in things. We have a vision and we want to make it plain. We want to go forward with that vision. We want to begin to do some things. We have to make sure that we have the steps in place. And as we work through those steps, we go through each piece of it, we begin to see what we call progress. Wow. So that progress means that we are getting closer and closer to our goal. That progress means that we are actually doing something right. When we see progress, listen, let's say that you go into an algebra math class. You know nothing about algebra. And maybe by midterm, you've only made a C. Listen, maybe there's someone next to you has made an A. But what I need you to focus on is your progress. Because you see, when you started that class, you actually had a fail. If you had been given your end test on the very first day and you'd never had any lessons in algebra, I can guarantee you would have failed. And you would have had a flat out failing grade. So even if you only got a C, watch this, even a D, that means that something developed in you, that there was something more that took place than when you started. So again, when you start something, you should never be at that same point when you're done with that thing. And we think about perfection. We think about the condition or state or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. When we think about things that are perfect, we think that there is nothing wrong, that everything is A-OK. When we think about a perfect diamond, perhaps, we think that it is flawless. We think about people who we think are perfect because guess what? There are none perfect but him. I have to tell you that this morning. So when you're thinking about your progress versus your perfection, I want you to focus on your progress because every step that you've already accomplished is setting you up to accomplish the next step in that thing that you want to get done. Think about these things. Where were you when you started and where are you now? How did you even get that thought going? How did that vision come to fruition? How did you even begin to start the progress of this project or this thing that you're working on or this thing that you're going after? Listen, think about how that vision began. What was going on in your life at the time? You see, whatever was going on at that time, it's probably not even going on at this time. Unless it was a positive thing, unless it was something that was working towards your good, you see, you probably have pushed that aside, let it go. So leave it dormant. Anything that you had to take out in order for that progress to go forward, don't put it back in, because it's only going to trip you up. Who was in your life at the time you started this thing? Was that person negatively or positively influencing you? Come on. We have to think about all of these things because we need to focus on our progress, not perfection. People will look at you and say, I remember when. Oh, I know how you are. But you need to focus on your progress, not perfection. Man cannot see perfection because man is not perfect. Oh, wow. Where are you now? At this current time, in your current state, in your present situation, what's really going on? We can think about it this way. Sometimes when we're waiting for a baby to begin to walk, guess what? Most babies don't just get up and walk. They have to crawl first. Now, there are a few instances where people say their baby just walked, they never crawled. But most of them have to crawl first. But guess what? When that baby rises up off their belly and begins to crawl, oh my God, for the moms and the dads, that's perfection. Oh my gosh, you're crawling. And so wow. But you don't get stuck there. That's not the perfection that you're looking for, because you want that baby to eventually get up and walk. So focus on the progress that they're crawling. Focus on the progress when they're standing, because sometimes they have to learn to balance before they take that first step. You're focusing on the progress. Oh man, when that first step happens, oh, my baby is walking. But guess what? Focus on the progress, not perfection. As that child begins to walk and they begin to grow, you've got to focus on how they're progressing. Don't focus on what it is you want them to be when they grow up, before they grow up. Did that make sense just now? I sure hope it did, because we've got to focus on our progress, not our perfection. You know, God begins the process with us. He begins the process, and it's up to us to continue the progress. He begins the process. It's up to you to continue the progress. You got to continue to go forward. Don't let anyone or anything stop you. You keep making your moves. You keep moving forward. That's your progress. Even if your progress is inching forward, listen. Do you know the story about the tortoise and the hare? Oh, you don't have to get there as fast as I did. You don't even have to arrive at the same time. But you just keep going until you get to the mark. That's focusing on your progress. And after a while, you look behind you, oh my goodness, and you see, wow, look at where I have come from. Look at where he brought me from. He brought me from then to now. Focus on your progress, not your process. Wow. Our faith, I'm going to share this with you, is not to be in our ability to grow, but in his ability to finish what he started in us. You know I got to give you a scripture, right? You know you got to have it. Oh, my goodness. What did I do with it? Wow. Being confident of this very thing, Philippians 1:6 says, that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. So you allow him to start the process and you continue the progress. So watch this. We're going to continue this on our next session. We're going to continue this because we need to really know how to focus on progress and not on perfection. We're not going to be perfect, I have to tell you, until we've ceased to be in this world. So you really want to focus on progress. How am I going to get there? Well, that's it, guys. All of our time for our 9 for 9. And I'm not going into overtime today. So God bless you. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time. Hey, think about joining me this Sunday morning, 9:45 a.m. And we'll continue this talk. But you know what? In the meantime, I'm going to do this. You already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have myself, while I'm focusing on my progress, the things that I have to get done today, I'm going to start it off with a nice warm cup of positivity. God bless you. See you next time.